All right, well, we got Mr. Curtis Stone from Swirl here, a local, I guess, ice cream dessert shop here in Charlotte, and we're super excited to have you on, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming in.
I appreciate being here this morning.
All right, Curtis, we usually start these things off as a community spotlight. Basically, we like to see small businesses in Charlotte around our practices do well, so we want everyone in the community to know about them. So why don't you just start off and tell us a little bit about Swirl and how this thing came about?
Awesome, man. Swirl started in 2019. We are the world's first and only made-to-order cupcake shop. So if you can picture Chipotle, but done for cupcakes, that's what we do.
Nice.
So I saw a opportunity in the market to have people come in and choose their cake frosting and toppings and walk out the door in 30 seconds. So I decided to make it a reality.
Oh, that's awesome. So, how did you get into the dessert, or did you start off like kind of in the cooking and then you went towards dessert, or was it always cupcakes, dessert, cakes, pastries?
Yeah, it's a good question. I actually had a wedding cake business prior to this.
Okay.
So I had some baking experience, more or less on the business side of things, and I realized that that business in particular was hard to scale. We dominated the Charlotte market. We got awards. We were, one of the highest Google ranked wedding cake businesses in Charlotte. And I'm not sure if you know, but it's really hard to deliver wedding cakes to Chicago, Atlanta, New York, and Miami all at 5 o'clock on Friday at the same time.
I bet.
So Monopoly was my favorite game as a kid, and I decided that in order to scale the business, I needed to simplify the product. So Swirl kind of was the brainchild of that need, that concept for me to want to do global domination in the dessert industry.
That's awesome. So it sounds like with Swirl, the real difference maker is we were talking off camera a little bit. You can go in and you can basically customize it. Where you were saying before, maybe when you did cupcakes, you come in and you have your red velvet, but it's got the
It's always going to have cream cheese on it.
cream cheese on top. It's always going to have this,
Yep.
and then you make all these in the morning, and then you got to come in and be like, do I want this one or this one? But
And that cupcake has
Swirl,
been sitting there for 6 hours just waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yummy.
yeah, right?
Right.
So Swirl, tell me a little bit about right when you walk in the door. What's the experience? How does
Yep.
it go down?
You walk in, it's just like Chipotle, man. You walk in, there's a big toppings bar full of everything you could look for, and then we simplified the process down to you got vanilla or chocolate as your base. So you choose your cupcake, you choose your frosting. We've got about 8 different frostings, and then you throw all your toppings on and go crazy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Total judgment-free zone.
Judgment-free
Yeah.
zone, right?
Red
yeah.
velvet cake. We got strawberry frosting. Throw some gummy bears and marshmallows on it if you want.
Now, where did you get it? I like that concept. Everyone's always trying to, seems like when you're running a business, you think, all right, we need to get this, like make it more complicated versus saying, hey, it might be better if we just strip stuff away,
Right.
and the easier the better. So you have a lot of good business guys give that advice. It's harder to follow that advice.
It is really hard.
Did you get to a point where you're like, hey, there's too much stuff. There's too much going on here.
Yeah,
Let's strip it down to the basics.
I think that's something we struggle with every day is trying to walk the narrow line of giving customers everything that they could possibly want without becoming overwhelming.
Right.
Which is always the first word that I say is the most common word we hear in the store is
Yeah.
people walk in and they're overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed.
And I try not to take that personally and think that maybe overwhelmed is a good thing,
Yeah.
possibly. But I mean, the reality is when you do something made to order, there is a billion, quintillion different
Right.
combinations that we could make. So for me to put on my menu board everything that you could have would be overwhelming pretty quickly. So the menu board when we first started out was really dedicated to breaking down step 1, step 2, step 3. There were no suggested flavors.
Yeah.
And then after a year of being open, we revised the menu board because we realized that some people don't like making decisions.
Yep.
So we came out with suggested flavors. And step by step, year over year, we look at how customers interact with our menu, how customers interact with our products, and we try to tweak it to make it as seamless as possible.
Yeah. That's funny because even we're in a totally different business, orthodontics, desserts, but we found the same things. We wanted to give so much custability to, payment options and treatment options, and the patients to come in and kind of probably like you are with desserts, like super excited about it, passionate about it. So you come and just give them all this information, like we could do this or we could do that, we could do braces and Invisalign. Give them all these options, and they're
They
kind
don't
of
know where
like,
to start.
holy, I just wanted my teeth straight. Like,
Right.
what's going on here? So we had to basically do the same thing. Like, here's this package. We recommend this. Some people want to be guided, so I like the giving them recommendations of combinations and stuff like that. Like,
Yep.
hey, coming from a guy that knows pastries, this is going to be a good combination. You're probably going to like this. But if someone comes in and they're a weirdo and wants chocolate on their red velvet, they can do that,
That's
right?
okay. This is a judgment-free zone.
Hey.
That's what we made it for. We've seen some pretty crazy combinations.
Yeah, I bet. Do you have a favorite? I usually get to that towards the end, but
So we do cupcakes, cookies, and ice cream. We added cookies and ice cream after the first year of being open. I knew that I always wanted to be sort of a year-round dessert shop, and I didn't want the sales to, ebb and flow with fads. So I wanted there to be stuff for us to fall back on. So made-to-order cupcakes is what we were known for, but we also added in customizable ice cream and cookie options also.
Nice.
And milkshakes, man. That's my go-to.
Well,
I like to eat my sweets on the go, and I'm always on the go. So I got a cup and a straw, and I can just down my calories while walking.
that's it. Milkshakes are never a bad idea. Funny story about that. Yesterday, I was having lunch with my brother. He's also an orthodontist with me, and we just had this big pizza, like a typical Sunday.
Absolutely.
Watching football lunch, and I look over at his DoorDash, and he's over there ordering a milkshake.
Right.
And I'm like, you're trying to sneak that in. So never a bad time for a milkshake. Speaking of that, too, relating it back to our business, we're always saying with orthodontic wire changes, your teeth get a little sore. Not a big deal, but we always say, hey, leverage some ice cream, leverage some milkshakes on that. So I think
Stay
that
away
can be,
from the cookies.
that can be, stay away from the cookies on that one. Wait for your teeth to get a little unsore, but we always say, you got to leverage that ice cream, man.
Yep.
So get to
Stay
the
away
finish.
from the cookies and the gummy bears.
Now, I always like to get on the entrepreneur side of it too on this, starting your own business, and it seems like you had a great idea to, customize this. You'd been in the business before, so you probably had some ideas coming in, but what was the day that you were like, hey, we're going to do Swirl. I'm going to find a place. This is how we're going to do it. What were the steps on that? Actually making the,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Because I had never actually opened up my own brick and mortar, never opened up my own, retail space before. The wedding cake business was a home-based business.
Yep.
So, it was an easy in. The entrepreneur spirit is something that apparently I've had my entire life, but it was hard to recognize.
Mm-hmm.
So, the neighborhood that I lived in previous was Oakhurst. I actually lived in the Oakhurst neighborhood, and there was a big plot of land that developer said, coming soon, shopping center. And that was about 5 years into running the wedding cake business at full capacity and realizing that I was tapped out in that market. So it kind of just felt like, I don't know, God was throwing me a sign there for a second and saying, hey, you're frustrated?
Yeah.
You want to grow your business? Coming soon, new development. So we split off the brand, kept it as two separate brand identities with two separate demographics online with, the wedding cakes were all about fancy, luxury, country clubs and chic, bougie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then Swirl was going to be the opposite of that.
Yep.
We were going to have graffiti on the wall, and we were going to have Biggie playing on Spotify. And,
cool.
And, it was going to, you're going to walk in, it was going to be as clean as an Apple shop. It's going to smell like a bakery, but it's going to feel like a skate shop.
Oh, that's cool. So you had an idea, you had a vision. This sounds like something you were thinking about probably before, and then you just were, getting to the drawing board, and then this is going to make sense.
Yeah, suddenly one day all the pieces just right in front of me, and I just needed to figure out how to do it.
Made that call.
There's one thing YouTube is good for, is helping you figure out how to do stuff.
Hey, there you go. We use it every day. Someone's like, hey, how do you do this? I'm like, you can probably just check YouTube. Someone's going to show you right there.
The other option is to do what I also do, which is I'll just make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And after about the 200th mistake, you say, you know what, maybe I should change that next time.
Yeah. We're in the same boat. Do you have one particular mistake where you were like, if you could go back right before you open it and be like, dude, not do that, but I would do this, or any advice for those entrepreneurs out there?
Man, advice for an entrepreneur from an entrepreneur that feels like they fail every day. I don't know, man. Don't be afraid of failure.
Yeah.
That's the advice right there. I had done jujitsu for about 7 years.
Okay.
And every day you go to class, you get your ass kicked.
Oh, yeah. You're humble.
So don't being afraid of failure, because failure is where you grow.
Where you grow. Yeah.
That's the advice right there.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest part, and really just diving into it. I always tell people, if you just put 1 foot in and you have 1 foot out, like on too much of a safety net, you're never going to get into that second
100%.
foot. You're always going to say, well, this is okay, but this one is a little bit safer. So to go into that and push into it, and then get over your skis a little bit, and then have to ski under them.
When your life depends on it, you do a lot of
exactly,
you do a lot of crazy things.
Yeah. Now, have you had any cool ideas about getting people into the shop, or like how do you market in terms of wanting people to get in there?
Yeah, it's crazy. The way marketing has worked for us has definitely changed over the years. When we first started, I did all my own marketing myself personally, because photography is a background for me. So I did all my own product photography and built my website and did everything from scratch because Instagram worked on photos back then.
Yep.
This was pre-Reels, so I didn't date myself a second there. This is pre-Reels, guys.
Yeah.
Pre-TikTok. And photos worked.
Yeah.
I got at least 20,000 followers in our first few years open because photos were working and I could take good photos.
Yeah.
And then I saw it start slowing down. Photos don't work anymore, and I don't do Reels.
Yep.
Like that's just not something that I had much experience in. You know, from a couple decades of doing photography, videography wasn't my thing. That was a whole new beast. But luckily for me, that's about when Maria showed up with a new set of eyes, a new energy, a new spirit, and she now runs our Instagram and all of our social media single-handedly.
Yeah.
And she does a better job than I ever possibly could have. But though she makes better content and is following all the steps you see online on what you need to do to market your business correctly, she's seeing less results than I did when it was easier.
Easier, yeah.
So she's having a harder job to accomplish and seeing less results. So it's been a trick for us trying to figure out where all the eyes are right now, and how to constantly stay in front of it and stay relevant.
Yeah, we always talk about the biggest currency is attention, and it's
Absolutely.
never going to go down. It's never going to deflate.
Yeah.
You know, it's always up and at 'em, and it's always changing.
Yeah.
You know, could be like you were saying, we're TikTok. Like, oh my God, how do we even get on this?
Yeah.
How do I even do a video on this?
We've always been mindful to not be a fad that rises and falls 2 years later.
Yeah.
I don't want to be Froyo. Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Where are all the Froyo places now?
Yeah.
I want to be Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
I want to be there 70 years from now. I want to be there 75 years ago, 80 years from now, 100 years from now. I want to be that place that's like, oh, I grew up going here. I want to take
Right.
my kids here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So trying to balance staying relevant, keeping in front of your attention, and not being a fad, it's tricky. It's a juggle.
So what's the scale look like from here? Are you doing franchises? Are you doing
Franchises was what we had planned from the beginning. When
Okay.
I opened up my first location, I promised myself that I'd make it to 100 before I tried to sell it.
Okay.
So we opened up our first location in Oakhurst back in 2019, and then we opened up 2023 over in South End, and then unfortunately 2024 we ended up having to shut down the Oakhurst location. Apparently the economy is awful, and you know, Pepperbox Donuts shut down 2 spaces this year, and Wentworth and Finn shut down a space. Duck Donuts shut down 2 spaces. Goodworth shut down 2 spaces. So when we started feeling the sales drop, it was really isolating, and it was kind of, you know, defeating, feeling like, oh my God, what are we doing? What are we doing wrong?
Right.
But over the last 12 months, we've noticed that a lot of our peers in the industry have also been struggling, and it's been more of a, oh, I guess it's not just us.
Right.
And
Right.
instead of everything I'm doing is the reason things are going wrong, maybe everything I'm doing are the reasons that we're still open.
Right.
Because a lot of my peers aren't open anymore.
Yeah.
So it's been sort of a perspective shift for us.
Well, that's great. You know, just being able to see that, being able to feel that, like we
Yeah.
were saying, now you've been through that. Now we can figure out, okay, where can we go from here, no matter what the economy's doing, who's what,
Yeah.
that type of thing. So
But
we're
the original location was the beta spot.
Okay.
So that was
Yeah.
my location to test things out, make a bunch of mistakes.
Yep.
I'm still making mistakes, but I made more of them back than I am,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah.
And then, once we had proof of concept for the beta location, then open up a second store to show that we could replicate it, open up a third store to prove that we can definitely replicate it.
Yep.
And after that, we were going to look at franchising outside the Charlotte market.
Nice.
That was always the dream.
That was a dream. So that's kind of the next step as we
That
go
is- that
forward.
is
and-
absolutely, yeah.
and
We've
pull
already
it.
secured trademarks, so we've got the trademarks out of the way, and we've got, you know, packaged products that we're trying to push into grocery stores, and we are like an 8-legged octopus, just trying to push every angle possible, not knowing which one's going to be the one that finally has the door open for us.
And that's for those listening out there. It seems easy as he says it, but getting all those standing operating procedures, all those things, all those packages, so you can just be like, hey, here's your swirl in a
It's
box.
complicated.
It is.
We're
It
still
is.
figuring out what Swirl is, so I can't put it in a box yet.
Right. Yeah. We've done that with BWC Orthodontics. We've been doing it. I mean, Dad had the practice 50 years ago.
Yeah, you guys got a jump start on me.
Yeah. But in the last couple of years, at scale, things change.
Yeah.
So you're trying to keep it. We're balancing the same thing. We're balancing keeping it a family business. Keeping the culture the same and things like that. But as you get bigger, that gets tougher and tougher.
Yeah.
You're at this location and might not ever be at this location, but you got to make sure this one's doing the same thing and
Yeah, I think
has
one
the
of the-
same culture. And
Yeah. One of the things that we miss is the fact that we are a mom and pop.
Yeah.
We're a local, single location, born and raised here in North Carolina,
Yep.
Charlotte, North Carolina business. But I fought so hard at the very beginning to build a brand that looked like it could be franchised.
Yeah.
That people walk in and miss that
Right.
part.
Right.
They walk in and immediately think that we were already a franchise. So I think we missed some of that local community opportunity of people realizing like, no, actually I live down the street. I built this business. My kids are in the back right now.
Right. Yeah.
You're not a franchise. I really appreciate that you think we look like one. That really warms my heart.
It took a lot of work.
It took a lot of work to look this polished.
Yeah.
A lot of late nights, but we are not a franchise yet. So please come support your local small businesses.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Although I look like a national business, I am very, very small.
Well, and that's why we love to have you on. Just create awareness around it. Go down there. I think I didn't even know about the concept, but it's awesome where you can go in there and customize cupcakes, and now you can get ice cream and cookies and stuff like that. Again, for my patients, we'll push them down there after they get their wire change. Brush your teeth after.
Right,
obviously.
absolutely.
But
twice daily, please.
Twice daily. There you go. But yeah, that's super cool. I remember off camera when we first started, you're like, oh no, I started this. I'm the founder, owner, all this, and that's really cool. I can see your passion in it. Right when you came in the door, you're talking about it, you're loving it. So I encourage anybody out there that's looking for desserts to come on down and see you, Curtis.
Awesome. I appreciate being here.
Anything else where people can find you? I know you're probably on Instagram and all the socials and stuff like that, but your location is in South End. And
South End, 2822 South Boulevard, right there at the corner of South Boulevard and, New Bern, right there on the cusp of getting into Loso.
Right there. So right in our neighborhood, right down here at BWC, we got 2 offices that kind of right around you. So maybe we can connect and get some people some milkshakes down there with some sore teeth.
I'll send lots of clients your way.
That's it. All right, Curtis, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Appreciate it being here.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for listening to the Smiles Ahead podcast powered by Burrow, Welchel, and Culp Orthodontics. Be sure to leave a rating, hit that subscribe button, and if you have more questions, you can reach out to me directly at sam@bwcortho.com. That's sam@bwcortho.com. You can also visit our website, bwcortho.com, and we will be happy to answer any questions you might have.